Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Dolphin Financial Radio Show. My name is Dan Wendell, owner of the Dolphin Financial Group. Today, we're going to be talking about taxes. Actually, we're going to be talking about filing your tax return, and I'm going to recommend that you file it early. File your tax returns as early as possible. If you haven't done so already, get on it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. To help me with that, I'm bringing in someone that's probably already filed his taxes. Tony Shore, welcome to the show, Tony. We're talking today about your favorite topic, taxes.
You know
What's
what?
more
I'm
appropriate?
excited. I'm excited about this because who wouldn't be excited about a financial show talking about taxes? Who doesn't get excited and just pumped up for that?
Well, I'm calling this file early because I'm I'm going to say file it early, file ASAP, and maybe we look at it as like a Band-Aid, Tony. You have a
Hmm.
Band-Aid on, what do? Just rip it off.
Rip it
Rip
off.
You can't,
Get it over with.
you can't peel it over time. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. So we're going to talk about some reasons to file early, and I want to start off by telling you this. We
Okay.
did a show at the beginning of the year. Me, you, and Chris. We
Yep.
talked about things you should do early in the year,
Yep.
sooner than later. Right? I'll put that up there for those that missed it. And one of them was filing your taxes early. And we're going to get
File
into
early, file often.
that's right. And my CPA heard me say this. He heard that I did the show on it. I think he's on the YouTube alerts, so he gets an alert every time.
Sure.
And he's
Every
like,
time you
"Oh,
mention taxes, your
right."
CPA tunes in.
So he's like, "Who you kidding? You're a hypocrite. You're telling people to file taxes early, yet we file an extension every year because you can't get your act
You're
together."
busted. You are
Mm,
busted.
mm. And I said, "I like to file late." Because you said, "Well, why wouldn't you file late?" And I watched the show, and I should bring it up, but
Right.
but you said, "Yeah, why would you want to file taxes early? Because if you owe money, you're giving the money right away. Why wouldn't you wait to the last minute?" And I said, "That's why I file late, but that's not why I file late. I file late because mine's so complex. You know, it you have to wait for a lot of the tax documentation to come, and I get people
Right.
calling me all the time, "Hey, I haven't got my 1099 from XYZ company yet."
Right.
And if it's past Valentine's Day and you don't have it, that's when you start to say, "Wait, they're supposed to send this to me by January 31st. Why don't I
Right.
have it?"
Right.
US mail, blah blah blah. So by now, when you're watching this, and you might be watching this a year later, if it's past Valentine's Day and you haven't filed taxes yet, it's time. And you might be saying, "I'm waiting for my 1099s." You should have them by now, and as soon as you have them, you should file. So
Yeah.
I say I file late so that because I have to pay. That's not a good excuse, Tony. I'm going to call myself out on it. You could file ASAP and then cut the check by the tax day. You know what I mean? So when you file your taxes, you don't have to submit payment. You could file the taxes, say, "Hey, I owe you 5,000," and then send the check later in April.
Hmm.
Just I'm throwing myself under the bus here. Okay.
Yeah, you got busted. Yeah, it's like what the old saying was, the cobbler's children have no shoes. And
Yes.
the cobbler is the shoemaker, I guess.
That's right. That's
That's what
right.
my grandpa used to say. And like the tax, I know the CPAs I know they're always late. They always have to file extensions on their own taxes.
Well, yeah, to my defense, it is complex. A lot of the things I do, I get all sorts of different stuff going. And you're right, the cobbler's kids have no shoes. My financial house is run by my wife. So I'm a financial planner, but my wife runs the financial show at my house. But I'm in
You
charge of
know
the
what? It's
taxes.
funny. I've heard that from a few different financial advisors. It's because you're so busy doing it for other people that you're just like, nope, at
It's like the
home.
cobbler. I don't have time
Yeah,
to make my kids shoes. I'm making them for everyone else. And they're paying
exactly.
me. You're not.
Right, exactly. It's costing you money to do it for yourself.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
talking about costing money, let's assume that you're going to get a refund. Okay.
Okay.
Here's one of the top reasons that you want to file early because you get the refund quicker. The sooner you
That's
get your
why I
taxes
always
in,
like to file early, is I get that refund quicker.
a lot of people rely on that refund, and I'm going to throw you under the bus now. You shouldn't be getting a refund, Tony. You should
I know.
not be
Every year
getting a
I
refund
do.
because that means you've loaned the government money tax free,
Interest free.
interest free. Why? Why do it? I know you
Yeah,
love it. I
true.
know you love it. It's a way for
It's
you to
forced
Shawshank a little bit of
savings.
money,
Yep,
you
and
know,
it's
a little
forced
bit of
savings.
forced savings.
Yep.
Hey, that's okay. But if you're getting a huge refund every year, then you might want to say, why don't I take that money earlier in the year? Your problem isn't that you're filing early or late. It's that you're not managing your money properly throughout the year and you're
Yep. Sarah and
withholding more
I
than you need to.
Yep, because of your advice, Sarah and I have started. We used to get big, chunky refunds every single year, and now we do not. So
Well, that's because I probably berated you too many times, you know.
you did. You did. I was sick of it. Sick of
But
hearing it.
in addition to if you're getting a refund, if you're getting a refund, you want to get it in because you get it quicker. But you also want to get it in because Tony, have you called the IRS lately? Have you tried to get
The
on the phone with them?
Let's see. Have I?
Oh,
Can you see
all
that?
right. So for the listeners that aren't on YouTube, Tony just put his background as yes, this is dog, and there's a black Labrador mutt something with a rotary phone that's crimped phone cord being held out. That picture was taken in the 1970s for sure. And that's the kind of response you get if you call the IRS right now. Yes, this is dog. Because, in fact, Tony, I had a client call me. One of my clients who is a former tax person her whole life. She likes to get her taxes done right away. So she's on me
Sure.
with, 1099s and we're planning. And we like to do it for another reason, which I'll get to in a moment. But she called the IRS because she needed to fill out some sort of form. And she called them and then got through the queue that said, all right, if you need to talk to someone about this, press this button. And she got like 6 deep. And then she finally, it didn't even say, please hold. It just said, we're sorry. There's no one available to deal with you right now. Call again tomorrow. It wasn't like, hold on, the wait time, average wait time is 4 hours. It was just,
Yeah.
no one's going to answer the phone to deal with you. Call back tomorrow. So she did.
After you've already taken
After
25
she's
minutes
gone
to
through
get
all
through
the
the
prompts,
menus. Yep.
she
Classic.
mastered it. She called the next day. Same exact thing. Not, please wait. We're on hold. We're busy. It was, no one is going to help you with this. Call again tomorrow. How crazy is that? So they are completely overwhelmed right now.
That's nuts.
They're still dealing with tax issues from the previous year. So if you're expecting any sort of refund, you might want to get in the queue now.
Right.
Take Tony's word for it. If you call up the
Oh,
IRS, you're going to get the dog.
yep. You are. Yes,
You
this
know,
is dog.
I thought we agreed you weren't going to bring that meme back to the forefront yet
Oh
again.
yeah.
There you
Yeah,
are.
I'm bringing it back. Yep. Yep. That'll be used. I might bring it in every show, even if it's applicable or not. I love it too much. I really do. In fact, you're going to be talking along, and I won't even be. I'll just be.
Yeah, he's leaving the show. He's left the show. He's just putting the dog there. And that's kind of how you feel when you're dealing with the IRS, Social Security. You just on hold forever and you're not getting the answers. Okay, moving on. Another reason why
All right.
you probably do you file your own taxes, Tony?
No, no. I
Well,
have
you laugh
people.
as if like,
I have people to do that. I'm
I
not gonna.
have people. I don't even tie my own shoes.
I'm gonna have a. Yeah, exactly. No, I have. I
You
work
have
with a
Velcro shoes.
CPA.
Everyone knows. Right?
CPA.
Yeah.
I happen
So
to work in a building where there are a few CPAs in
yeah,
this building that I work in, so I just grab one of them and say, "Hey, here you go," and shove a paper bag full of just receipts.
receipts.
See you in 6 months when you get
Well,
this figured out.
I have this battle with my CPA every year. We're good friends, so we can have upfront conversations. And I tell
Sure.
him, hey, I'm thinking about trying to get my taxes done early this year. And he just goes, he knows that.
He openly
So,
mocks you.
and then
I
I say,
love
well, what
that.
if I give you some preliminary stuff? He's like, yeah, you can give it to me. I'm not gonna look at it. You're at the back of the line, buddy. I'm sorry. Until you start paying me. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. Do I still owe
Wait.
you money?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So you if you do taxes yourself, then whatever, that's a different story. But if you pay
Right.
someone to prepare your taxes, or you have a CPA, you're gonna want to get on their calendar early. Because if you're that guy that the April 15th comes around, and this year it's in 2022, I think it's April 18th because it falls on a holiday. Um, you're gonna want to get in early. Otherwise, you can't show up April 15th and say, let's do this, because the CPA might be busy. They're people too. They're usually very boring. I'm throwing the CPAs on the bus, but you got to try and get on their calendar early. Otherwise, good luck, right? So especially if you have something that is more than complex, right? If it's, oh wait, this isn't just a standard deduction and that's it. If you have something that's a little bit complex, you're going to want to get that started early because you don't want to be missing deadlines, right?
Yeah,
So that's a big
no.
one.
No, you don't wanna miss deadlines. You don't want to, attract the attention of the IRS in any way, shape, or form. You wanna go under the radar, smooth, and one way to do that is to get it in early, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you might miss something like an RMD, required minimum distribution. That's a
Yeah.
huge penalty. And there's no way to avoid it. Once it's passed, you're in trouble. So get it done. Make sure you're doing it right. Okay. Um, this is the topic that I mentioned in the podcast about things to do early. And I said one of the reasons to file taxes early was to protect against ID theft.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I never thought of that. That's because you don't live in the tax ID theft capital of the world in Florida.
Oh,
More
yeah,
South
tax
Florida.
ID theft, I'd never even heard about it until you told me about it.
Yeah. So what happens is people file tax returns in your name.
Yeah.
Of course, they're not owing. You're getting a fat refund when someone
Right.
else files your taxes in your name,
Yeah.
and they get the refund checks. This is multi-millions of dollars every year
Yeah.
that the IRS has to deal with. And then and then when you go to file taxes, that's when you find out, no, you filed already and we gave you a refund, remember? And you're like, whoa,
Oh, no. So that's
whoa,
another reason to file early, and
just
I
to beat the
imagine
criminals.
yeah, to beat the criminals to the punch so they don't file, for you. So, I bet that's prevalent, in Florida, especially because they probably target seniors like they do everything else, and every other scam, seniors are probably targeted the most.
Yeah, and they just have, 50 tax returns going to the same address, but all they're doing is they're stealing your ID, right?
Yeah.
They don't know anything about your situation. So it's not like they're saying, "Oh, we got to make sure we file that child tax credit for them because they have kids." No, they just like they're just making stuff up, right?
Right.
All to get a refund. And you do that
Ah, I
enough,
see.
it's a really good way to make money if you're a criminal, because the check comes, you cash it, you're gone, right?
Yeah.
And it might even go to a bank account that's not even yours, but it says it's in your name. So it's really tough to defend against. So let the IRS handle that. Fraud is huge. But once it happens, what are you going to do? Your
Yeah.
identity's stolen. You're going to be dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, and you have to
That's
file their
rough.
taxes too. So you can prevent a little, because if you go to file taxes and someone's already done so in your name, the
Mhm.
IRS is going to say, no, we can't. No, doesn't work. Because you can't file taxes twice, right? So you want to be the first one to do it. If there's going to be two
Right.
taxes, you want to be
Mhm.
the first to do it. And
Yeah, let
um,
them tell the criminals, "No, this has already been filed."
yeah,
Yeah.
and they take you off the list. All right, we got to do that person's early next time. Um, so it kind of penalizes people that delay. Now, I'm not saying, I'm blaming the victim here. You should file sooner, but just another reason to try and do it if you can.
Sure.
It's another bonus. But here's the big reason, Tony. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but the big one is you just have more time to plan. I always
Yeah.
say the main function of Dolphin Financial Group is to increase income and reduce stress. That's our core, to help people retire, increase income, reduce stress. And one of the main causes of stress around this time is tax filing. How much do I owe? Do I have all the documents I need? Oh my goodness, this and that. So the sooner you get it done, the less stressful you'll be. You'll be able to check that off your list,
Right.
right? But it also gives you more time to figure things out. And like I said at the beginning, when I file taxes, I can file taxes, and if I owe money, I don't have to pay them right away. I could pay them by the tax deadline. Or I can come up with a plan to figure that out. Or I can say, you know what, CPA, we got to sharpen the pencil because I owe too much. We did something wrong. Let's review the documents. Let's rethink this. Let's plan. And planning is a big part of taxes. And like I said, Tony, if you have the extra time, it gives you more time to plan. And then you could start thinking about next year. Because if you're like a lot of people, last minute, you're still thinking, okay, I got to file by the 15th or the 18th of April. Do I contribute to an IRA last year? Because you could still do that.
Yeah.
You can. And a lot of people, they do their taxes and say, how much should I put in away from last year for IRA, SEP IRA? But wouldn't it be a better scenario to be like, okay, I've already put in my IRAs because I thought ahead last year. I know what's going to happen. I have all of February, all of March, most of April to sit here and say, what can we do differently next year so I'm not running up against this? What kind of tax moves can I make this year going forward so that I don't run into this problem again? What kind of tax burden am I going to have this year or last year when I file my taxes? What is my tax going to look like next year or the current year so I can get a better healthcare subsidy from the government? What can I do differently in my 401k contributions to offset this tax burden that I'm having? All of these things are really about tax planning, not tax preparation. You got to do tax preparation. You have to file your taxes, fill out the forms, send in the money or get the check. But I'm more about tax planning. What can we do now to prevent the crisis in the future? What can I do now to reduce my tax burden in the future? And I think if you file taxes early, it gives you more time to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of conversations you should be having with your financial advisor, with your tax prep plan, with your tax planner.
Yeah. Well, planning ahead always relieves stress. I mean, and we've talked about that on the show before, just your overall financial plan, including taxes, healthcare, investments, retirement income. The further ahead you plan, the less stress. Same with taxes.
Right. People come to me because they want to retire. I haven't thought about this. I haven't done any homework or thought about retirement because I just don't think I'm going to be able to retire. I think I have to work forever. So I just bury my head in the sand. When they meet with me, even if I say, yeah, you're not going to be able to retire until 70, 8 years from now, they feel better. Even though that's what they kind of thought, they feel better hearing it from me because now, all right, it is what it is. I got 8 more years. Now I have a plan. With taxes, you don't want to hear you owe $40,000 in taxes.
No, you don't.
You certainly don't want to hear that on April 15th.
No.
You'd rather, if you're going to hear it, you'd rather hear it on Valentine's Day, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is the earlier you do it, the more time you have to plan if you owe. But there's more time to then say, well, why did this happen? Oh, we rolled that IRA over. They have the wrong form. Okay, I can now call up the company, get that form, file the taxes, and get that taken care of before filing my taxes. And this way you're not last minute feeling that stress. So I think it makes a lot of sense. But you're right.
Plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. In other words, leave early, do something early. That way, if there's an issue along the way, you still get it done on time.
Right. Yeah. And so if you're filing taxes on time, you're late. If you're filing taxes early, you're on time. Right.
Nice.
If you're filing taxes late, well, then you got big problems. But back to my scenario. Okay. So
and according to your CPA, you would know about that, Dan.
That's what I'm saying. I file. I never file late. I file extension on time. I usually,
That's a justification.
if I owe
If
money,
you have to file an extension, you're filing late. That's the bottom line.
I'm filing my extension on time. You don't want to file nothing. You don't want to ask for an extension after the deadline because that's when the penalties come in. So in
Yeah.
my scenario, I have a lot of complex stuff going on. So I get everything together, and if I file an extension, that's fine. But if I owe money, I am paying that, and I always usually owe money. I don't like getting a loan from the government or giving money to the government unless I have to. So I wait,
Mhm.
and I pay that money on the deadline. And then I do the taxes and the numbers later, but I'm always paying upfront because I don't want to have a penalty. The government doesn't care about the paperwork if you owe money. Like if I owe $5,000 and I say I'm going to file an extension, I'm going to do my taxes over the summer. They're okay with you doing that. There's no penalty to doing that unless you owe money. And if you owe money and you kick the can and pay it in the summer, well, then you pay tax penalties and interest. But
Yeah.
if I owe money, I pay that money in April, and then I do the taxes later and then reconcile it.
Sure.
So that's the key. But this idea of me waiting until April to file the paperwork and the extension, I don't like it now that I'm thinking about it because I am opening myself up to ID theft, which is
Yep.
it's a serious thing. People go ahead and steal my identity and try and figure out my tax liability. I mean, that's a burden. I think what will happen is if someone steals my identity and files taxes, they're going to get a rejection saying, wait, when did yours become simple? What happened here? Did you, you're not Dan. We know Dan.
Right.
So I think the conclusion is earlier, the better. Even if you owe money, benefits are just too high to wait. There's just it's a curve. It's a steep curve when you get closer and closer to the tax deadline. Stress goes up, anxiety goes up, CPAs are busier, IRS doesn't answer the phone at that point. It's just chaos. So get it done now.
Yep.
And you might be saying, hey Dan, it is the summer. I'm watching this on rewind. Start planning your taxes.
Yeah, for
Why
next
not?
year.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not start planning? Think about it. Think about why not do a preliminary tax? The healthcare subsidies that everyone does with the Affordable Care Act. You're supposed to be notifying them to any income changes and any changes in your life every month. It's a good habit to have. I'm not saying to call your CPA every month and say, hey, how check in, but why not think about what's coming down the pike? Why not think about these things? And in 2022 is the first year that we're getting these advanced child tax credit things.
Yep.
People getting those checks.
Yep.
Oh, that's going to add some level of complexity that people didn't know how to handle before.
Sure.
How does that work? Oh, wait, I got an advance, but so give yourself some extra time to figure this out, even if you're doing it on your own.
Right. Exactly. And I like that. Earlier is better for filing taxes. That's obvious. And I think you make a good point. And a lot of listeners might not have been thinking about some of these things like fraud and avoiding mistakes, avoiding the stress. When it deals with taxes, you want to minimize that tax burden and minimize your stress. So
Yeah.
I think that this is helpful in both of those ways. You can find ways to minimize your tax burden by planning ahead.
Yeah, and there's a difference between a tax planner and a tax prepper. A tax preparer is someone you pay and do your taxes. A tax planner is someone you sit down with and map out the future of your taxes. They'll do
Sure.
the preparation as well, but you want to be having the advanced conversations. You don't, unless you got a very simple scenario, then go to the prep, get it done, boom, get it done early. So
Right.
we've
Awesome.
gone a whole show, Tony, and you didn't even have some sort of witty sound effect about taxes. I was expecting you to come up with what's his face, George Harrison's Tax Man from the
wait,
Beatles.
here we go.
Inflation, increased taxation.
Well, there you go. That's
Communism,
perfect.
taxes, healthcare.
That
Communism,
is a perfect.
taxes, and healthcare.
Inflation, increased taxation. That
Yeah.
sounded like old Alan Greenspan from the Federal Reserve.
It might have been Walter Matthau, but yes.
Inflation, increased taxation.
Well, again, I just want to reiterate that I do not give tax advice. The show is just give you general guidance. No, don't make any tax decisions based on what I'm saying. But hey, if you file your taxes early, it's probably a good thing. So get to it if you haven't already. Tony, thanks for a good show. Guess what I'm going to go do?
Work on your taxes.
I am. See you later.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Whittle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.